Hello, everyone. And before we get started, I just want to say, are you the nurse who can calm a family that's hysterical? You catch a mistake that everyone else seems to have missed. Um, you do all these things on 3 hours of sleep after working a 14-hour shift, because you know what? A 12-hour shift is never really a 12-hour shift. And then you start in your second shift, which is with your family, which is the most important. Yes, you're in the right place, because I work with nurses who are currently in transition, whether that's bedside, whether that's middle management, whether it's executive leadership. You're in the right place. And I'm thrilled that you're here tonight. Hey, my name is Patrick LaRose. I am a coach, I'm a nurse, and I'm the creator of the newsletter and podcast, The Second Shift, here on Substack. I'm happy you're here, but I am so excited tonight to welcome Karen Retardo, who is also a registered nurse, and she writes the Conscious Nursepreneur. Did I say that right?
Yes, you said it right, Patrick.
Excellent.
Yes.
So, Karen, I'm going to give you the floor and have you introduce yourself.
Yes. Well, thanks, Patrick, for inviting me here. It's just so great to connect with another nurse. And hi, everyone. My name's Karen. I call myself the Conscious Nursepreneur Coach, and I help introverted, quietly ambitious nurses who wants to shift the employee mindset to CEO mindset in building whatever they're building. They don't need to be coaches, but they have a business, and it could even be a passion project that they want to move into. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. And how long have you been on Substack?
Oh, 2 years. But like I said, Patrick, I didn't know what I didn't know until last year or this year. It just boomed. And I'm like, oh, let me connect with other people that I would love to connect.
That's excellent. I think, and you said earlier in our pre and before the in our preview period, you said that you and I got connected through a recommendation from another creator.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, that is alone testimony that recommendations on Substack are hugely important. I mean, I think I probably would have found you, or you would have found me eventually, but that recommendation, we connected right away.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. You know what I really loved was your content about the business side of it. I started my coaching practice in January of this year, and I made a conscious decision, quietly ambitious, okay, to build in public on Substack. I don't know why I decided to do that, probably out of accountability. And
Mm.
over that period of time, I have gained so many wonderful connections with nurses and other people on the platform that have just been amazing. In fact, tonight, let's see, Olamad's here, Florence is here, Kevin's here, Marion's here. It's so exciting to have you guys. Welcome. We're so happy to have you.
Yes, yes, welcome. And yeah, Patrick, there's a bond that nurses have, and it doesn't matter if they're nurse in a different state, different part of the world, but when you're a nurse, there's that essence that binds us, because most of us came to this profession with that intention to be of service and make a difference, like the
Yes.
care, the nurturing, the compassion's there. Not all nurses, I have to say, but majority, people that I know, they really went into nursing because their heart was there.
I love that. You know, the one thing that you said is of service. And that's really important. And you know, that those words have shaped my coaching practice, because I was so afraid in the beginning of having a call to action and really pushing the services to people. And really what it is of being of service, right? And as nurses, we can help other nurses who are wanting to find a way to either exit nursing altogether, sadly, I hope not, but
Yeah.
or to use their skills to do things that allow them to stay in the profession, right? And build a business for themselves. They have translatable skills. So, Karen, tell me about how your sister influenced you to start your business.
Well, like she was my first client, and like she had this goal. Like I know she wanted something beyond nursing, and she loves to travel. So our first, and because she's a nursing professor, and she loves to save. And I told her, like, do you even know your point A? Like, when it comes to how much money you've saved. And she's like, no, I don't. And when she sat down, like a few days later, she's like, Karen, like I have more than a year's worth saved, and not like expenses. So I told her, like, you could pursue whatever you're passionate about. And she loves to travel. She set a goal to visit 40 countries before she turned 40. And she, like the overachiever family that we have, she did 43 or 46. So
Wow.
yeah.
That is amazing.
Yep. And she was the one, like, Karen, like you could do this. And I'm like, I will love coaching, Patrick. I studied coaching in the early 2000. So yeah, yeah.
Wow. And so what drew you to be a conscious nursepreneur and focus on nurse coaches and how they build their businesses?
Well, I think I just got tired with like the marketing bros, the hustle
The marketing.
mentality.
I love the marketing bros.
And and love them, but at the same time it doesn't work for me. And especially with nurses, like, like I said, we come from service, and I'm like, ooh. And we have our nursing ethics that guide us. So like part of that is using like the nursing ethics too. And healthcare needs to be for everyone. And I'm like, how can I make this happen in coaching too? Because I would hear other people like, oh, it's just for the elite group of people. And I'm like, no, if you
Mm,
only know the magic of coaching, if you've never been coached, at least try even just one session and experience the difference. And I tell them, like, coach, it's so difficult to explain coaching because it's like explaining chocolate to someone, Patrick. I
it-
could tell you, like, it's brown, it's bitter, it's some sweet, but until
yeah.
you eat chocolate, and yeah, so that's how coaching is.
I love it. I have a whole series on my newsletter inside the coaching experience because it's exactly that. It's hard to explain it unless you're actually in it. And I had somebody who was, really really important to me who said, you can't necessarily go deep with somebody if you've never gone deep with somebody,
Yes.
okay? And you only do that really through a structured coaching relationship. And as I told you before, I will be the first one to admit that as a nurse, we do not invest in ourselves. Karen, why is that?
I know, because we love serving, the self-sacrifice. I think the oath that we made, do no harm. But like sometimes we forget and we talk about self-care, but at the same time, like it's one of the professions with a high rate of burnout because we
Yes.
just keep giving and giving. Like simple example, sometimes as nurses we hold our pee, but we tell our patients to not hold their pee.
Right, right. It's that martyrism. There's a lot right now going on with nursing in the sense of the post-COVID moral injury. And so much of that's happening across the country. And what I'm hearing from nurses that I know and nurses that I work with is that the world's moving on, but we still have injury that hasn't been addressed, and we're still working the 12 and 14-hour shifts. We're still doing all the different things that we were doing before, and we're working short staffed, and that injury just continues and it doesn't ever get resolved. And you know what? Employers are calling it burnout. And I am so sick of that word because it's not burnout. Take a vacation, go to Tahiti and get some rest. Okay. But moral injury is more than burnout. Okay. It's doing stuff that you did not want to do, giving care in the way in which you did not want to give. Okay. Cutting the corners because you know that if you don't, the patient in the next room is not going to get any attention from you at all. And that's scary. And so people like you and me, we are so needed, Karen, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But back to that thing, sometimes I get off on a tangent.
It's okay.
It's okay, it's okay. And
Yes.
my mentor's on the call. Hi, Jen, welcome. It's good to have you.
Jen.
Oh my gosh, I better do this right. Lord have mercy. I know, right? I better do this right. But the point is that nurses don't invest in themselves. And it takes a long time for a nurse to say, I'm willing to spend money on my own personal investment. Now, one of the things that I'm probably going to talk about tonight, and I'm sure you're going to agree with me, and I'm going to shut up here and let you talk, but the reality of it is that that personal investment takes the nurse right to where they need to be. And here's the story I guess I want nurses on this call to hear is that you've got the wisdom, you've got the inner knowing. You're going to get there eventually, maybe in a year, maybe in 2 years, or maybe in 10 years, okay? When you hire a coach, whether you hire a coach for your personal life or you hire a coach like Karen for your business, hiring that coach helps you get there quicker. It's an investment in you. And nurses, you deserve to have an investment in you. Okay, Karen, talk with me about the role transition that happens when a nurse leaves the bedside and starts their business.
Oh, there's so many stuff, Patrick. But layers and layers. But underneath it all, it's identity. And what's identity? We hear identity kind of all over the place right now. But when I was looking at the word identity, what's identity? And it's really I am. Like, what are your I am statements? What are your belief? And I remember my I am statements when I started my coaching business. I'm like, oh, can I really do this? Am I really capable of making money outside of nursing? Because with nursing, like I clock in, like there's this healthcare system, this hospital system that's gonna pay my hourly rate. But once you entrepreneurship for me is a form of self-leadership because we need to manage our time, we need to pay ourselves a salary that we think's valuable, and yeah, Patrick, like there's just so much so shifting that mindset. And of course it's not just employee mindset because there's layers, sometimes there's family, and for me as an immigrant there's culture layered into, and really getting to the root cause of those beliefs.
Boy, those are
Yeah.
some really important points that you talk about. I read one of your articles where you said, nurses are structured on protocols, documentation, structure. Nurses have structure in the hospital. And of course, we grew up with structure, right, in our nurses training. We seek permission through orders, right? Physician or healthcare provider orders. We can't, you can't install an indwelling catheter without an order. You can't start an IV without an order. You can't hang Rocephin without an order, right? I mean, we seek permission based on the interdependence with our medical colleagues to perform care for our patients.
Yeah.
So the thought of a nurse starting his or her own business, how do they transition out of that permission seeking mentality to understand their CEO hour? How do they do that?
Oh, thanks for that. Because, like you said, yes, nurses were structured, but like you pointed out too, like the most important shift is our second shift, our family,
Yes.
our passions, right? And of course, we don't want to put everything to your CEO shift. Like, it's like for me, if you could have just like a CEO hour, and like I shared with you pre our this live, was that some business, nurse entrepreneurs or someone, either a coach, consultant, or starting a business, they sometimes forget like the thing that would really move the needle. They think creating a website would move the needle. They think creating like Canva images or content would move the needle. But honestly, like what would really move the needle is building relationships like this one, Patrick, like having the courage to connect with people that think would benefit from your service. emailing someone like coworkers, letting the world know what you're doing. Sometimes we keep
Yes.
ourselves, keep it to ourselves, and we're like the best secret to the people that we can make a difference.
Yes, absolutely. I met another creator on here. Her name was Nima Amen. And if you're not subscribed to Nima, you need to go subscribe to her today because she's amazing. And she's executive leadership, consulting. But she said something that really stuck with me in one of her notes. Excuse me. She said, your first client is somebody that you know. Your second client is somebody that you know. Your third client is somebody that you know. Your fourth client opens the door to possibilities, meaning that from your outreach, people who you don't know start to hear about you. And that just stuck with me because I'm like, that's novel, because I've been ignoring the people I know. So I started sending emails out, blah, 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 blah. And it was surprising what happened. It was amazing what happens when you do that. And then the outreach on Substack. And you've got a huge presence on LinkedIn.
Yes.
What
Not
brought
super
you
huge, but like
here?
huge. Like it's like really building those relationships, Patrick. And because we get those DMs messages on LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh my God, they're already pitching on me. They're already asking me to marry them. They haven't even asked me to go out on a date yet. But like, it's really nurturing the relationships. And like, one thing great about us nurses, we know how to establish rapport, and it's connecting with people, with patients, with family. And that's all I've been doing. Like every day I would connect, one or two people on LinkedIn, and just really asking them about their life, like who they are, or sometimes like just thank you for connecting. And then just nurture,
Yes.
I have part of my CEO hour is that like I reconnect with them at least every 3 months, like if I haven't heard, just to say hi. Yeah.
You know what? I'm writing myself a note right now that I'm gonna stick right on my computer. And anybody who's listening, I hope you do this too, regardless of what line of business you're in. I'm gonna start scheduling my CEO hour. That's huge. I mean, it's that mental shift, right? And when you use the word CEO, that sends a subliminal message to yourself of, hey, this is your business.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Let me get back here for a minute. Florence Acosta said, identity. She said, I built my identity around my 30-year nursing career and my title. That was the wrong move.
Oh,
Boy, and what was the first question I asked you when we first did the preview? I said, are you an RN?
that's
Right?
right. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
our identity.
Yeah. And I still catch myself sometimes, Patrick, when I introduce myself to, I go to events or conferences, or like, it's so ingrained. Like I'm a nurse, and
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
But you know
yeah.
what? The work that we had to do, what did they say? I understand that the BSN, or the Bachelor's of Science in Nursing education and degree, is the hardest education among all bachelor's degrees. I mean,
Oh,
think about that for a minute. That's pretty huge. So
yeah,
we work so hard to earn that identity that we're really proud of it, and it becomes innate in who we are, right?
yeah.
And yeah, and so it's interesting because I think identity plays a big role when a nurse starts a business. So how does a nurse shift from being an RN, or how does she embrace being an RN and being a business entrepreneur?
Oh, thanks for asking that. Like, because one thing that I've noticed, like, other business coaches, and I think what makes me different is that most coaches that I've met, they give you the strategy and the tactics, but they forget the operator, the creator. So for me, the foundation is like, Patrick, I work with clients. The first thing we're gonna do is I'm a Clifton Strengths certified coach too. So we're gonna go over your strengths, and then I do a values clarity method and anti-values. So we need to know your values, and then design your business and your life, because you can never separate business and life. Then design a business and life that's aligned with your strengths and your values, because that's going to be your North Star. Like when things become difficult, when it's so difficult to set boundaries,
Yeah.
you have your strengths and values and anti values right in front of you to help make that decision easier.
Values alignment is so critical. And I love that you've integrated that into your overall structure and framework. I really find that interesting because when I'm coaching clients, tying back where they need to be to their values becomes paramount, and how
Mhm.
easy it is for us to shift away from our value statement.
Yes, yes. And for me, it's so easy to find your values because it's so easy to go intellectual, Patrick. Like, when someone asks you, like, oh, what are your values? Oh, family, relationships. But like for me, I'm like, okay, let's check your bank statements and your calendar. Let's see if it reflects those, because those time and money is the perfect feedback to show you what you really value. So show me your bank statement and your calendar.
Wow, you just put reality and accountability into this conversation. I'm gonna sit with that for just a second. Let's check your bank balances and your calendar, and let's really call you out on this and say, "Hey, is this really a part of your values?"
Hmm.
Wow.
If someone say like, "Oh, I value personal growth and development," like, okay, so like, what did you invest in the last year or 6 months, or is it just talk?
Is it talk? Yeah.
Hmm.
You know, one of the things I think as coaches that, we have to be sure about is that what we do in a non-judgmental space, in a space that's safe, obviously, it's always safe and
Yes.
non-judgmental, is that we can be an expensive friend and have a conversation, or we can be, you know, help you with accountability. I always said that, a friend's going to tell you what you want to hear. A coach is going to tell you what you need to hear.
Yes, yes. And I
I
make
mean,
that switch because, like, most of my friends know I'm coaching, and sometimes they would just, like, oh, Karen, I need your thoughts, your opinion. I'm like, okay, do you want me to keep my friend hat, or you want me to be the coach hat?
yes, yes, absolutely. Well, I know we're almost at time because we allotted 30 minutes for our live session. So let me ask you this, Karen, if there's a nurse on the call who is wanting to start their own business, what takeaway should they have from this conversation?
Oh, it goes back to knowing who you are, know yourself, and to your own self be true. Because it's easy to be hypnotized by stuff out there, like, shiny object syndrome, as we say, Patrick. But like when you're really grounded into who you are, your values, and your strengths, it's easier to make choices and decisions. And like I said, like most stuff out there, they forget the operator, the creator, which should be first. Yeah. And yeah, yeah.
Wow, those are pretty powerful. Pretty powerful.
Mhm.
For me, I think the takeaway of our conversation is that if you're a nurse in transition and you're looking at doing something different, you've got two really capable people here. You got Karen who's going to help you on the business end, and you got me that's going to help you on the transition end. So that's wonderful. And Karen, where can our folks find you on both Substack and on LinkedIn?
Yes, LinkedIn, like, you'll never forget my name, Karen Retardo. And I was telling Patrick, it's like retarded with an O. And me and my sisters would say, it's great marketing because they will forever remember us.
I didn't forget your name. I think I asked you specifically, can you pronounce your last name for me so I get it right?
Yes.
Wow. So, before we close, though, I really want to open it up. We got 7 people who are joining us tonight. So, thank you all for being here.
Yes,
What kind of
thank you.
questions do you have from the audience for either myself or for Karen? Are you a nurse? Are you considering starting your own practice? Are you considering something outside of nursing? Or are you considering something different in nursing? Or you don't have to be a nurse. If you're starting a coaching business, Karen works with folks who she works with hustle bros.
No, anti-hustle, bros.
Yeah, no, she doesn't work with hustle bros. I think she would probably work with hustle bros, but the reality of it is if you're starting a practice of some kind, ask her questions. She's got all this experience.
Yes, please.
It looks like our audience is going to be a little quiet tonight, and that's okay. So, Karen, I want to do this again.
Yes. Oh, I enjoy this so much.
Yeah,
Patrick.
me too. Me too. So I'm going to go ahead and close. So if you are a nurse in transition and you're in some space at this moment, whether it's happening, your transition's happening, or whether you're planning it, or whether you've been planning it for the last 10 years, I want you to know that I work with nurses who are in that position. And I want you to DM me and say, Patrick, I need this. I need to be coached on moving forward. Now, here's the reality. And I think I've said this before. You're going to get there. You're a nurse. You do hard things, right, Karen? Nurses do hard things.
We do.
Yeah, you're going to get there. You have the wisdom, you have the knowledge. It may take you 2 years, it may take you 4 years, it may take you 10 years. The only difference between you today and hiring a coach is that a coach is going to help you get there a lot quicker.
Yes. Oh, yeah, Patrick. So perfect. I kind of use that metaphor too. It's like, going to from California to Texas. You could walk going to Texas, or you
Yes.
could take a plane to get there faster. And then you just have more point B's to go to more versus, walking.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Karen, it has been such a pleasure. Do you want to go ahead and tie out your end?
Yes, please, follow me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Substack. But for me, I help introverted, quietly ambitious nurses to shift that employee mindset to CEO mindset. And I created this framework. I call it the conscious nursepreneur ecosystem, which is 3 steps: alignment, express yourself, and stewardship, which is creating a sustainable business, but based on who you are, not you serving your business, but your business serving you.
Oh,
Yeah.
that ecosystem is beautiful. Guys, if you have not subscribed to Karen's Substack, you need to get over there and do that today because that ecosystem is beautiful. It
Thank
really is.
you.
It's a great framework. I'd love to know how you did that.
Oh, like the
The
image
whole
or
thing. How
oh,
yeah, I mean, that framework is gorgeous and it really feels practical.
yes.
So
Yeah.
maybe that's for another conversation, huh?
Yes.
All right.
Oh,
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And be watching because I suspect that Karen and I are going to do another live again soon.
yes. Well, thanks everyone. And thanks, Patrick. What a great opportunity to get to know you, get to know the people in your world. And yeah, let's do it again.
I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing you on Substack and becoming one of my true bestie connections on here.
Yes, yes,
All right.
yes.
Have a
Okay.
great night, everybody. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.